Now that we have seen the basic structure and central concerns of this portion of Genesis, we are in a position to ask a second question. What was the original meaning of these chapters? What was Moses communicating to the Israelites as he led them from Egypt to the Promised Land? To grasp the original meaning of this portion of the primeval history, it will help to consider two matters. First, we will see how Moses connected this portion of his primeval history to Israel's experience. And second, we will explore the implications of these connections for Moses' original Israelite readers. Let's look first at the ways Moses connected these chapters to the experiences of the Israelites whom he was leading. Moses related these chapters of his primeval history to his contemporary world by describing the violence of early human history in ways that closely resembled the experiences of violence which Israel had endured. By doing so, he pointed out that the troubles which Israel faced were very similar to the troubles of the primeval world. Now, to explore how Moses established these similarities, we will look once again at the two major sections of Genesis chapter 4 verse 1 through chapter 6 verse 8. The first scenario of early violence and hope of deliverance in chapters 4 and 5, and the second scenario of later violence and hope of deliverance in chapter 6 verses 1 through 8. Let's look first at how Genesis chapters 4 and 5 connected to Israel's experience. As we look at the characteristics of the wicked and the righteous in Genesis chapters 4 and 5, it becomes apparent that Moses shaped this material so that his readers would associate Cain and his family with the Egyptians, and so that they would associate righteous Abel, Seth, and the Sethites with themselves as the people of God. Now, how did Moses build these connections? We should begin by examining the story of sinful Cain in Genesis chapter 4 verses 1 through 16. In this story, Moses focused on at least 5 concerns that allow the Israelites to connect this passage to their own day. In the first place, Moses mentioned the occupations of Cain and Abel to create these associations. Listen to the way Cain and Abel were initially distinguished in Genesis chapter 4 verse 2. Now Abel kept flocks, and Cain worked the soil. As this passage indicates, Cain was a settled agriculturalist, a farmer, while Abel was a shepherd. In ancient and modern times, it has been common for tensions to arise between settled, agriculturally based societies and nomadic shepherds. And as the book of Genesis itself indicates, Moses and the Israelites were quite aware of this kind of tension and how it led to serious trials while they were in Egypt. In Genesis chapter 46, verses 33 and 34, Joseph instructed his brothers in this way when they came to Egypt. When Pharaoh calls you in and asks, "What is your occupation?" you should answer, "Your servants have tended livestock from our boyhood on, just as our fathers did. Then you will be allowed to settle in the region of Goshen, for all shepherds are detestable to the Egyptians." Joseph's instructions here give us insight into why Moses mentioned that Cain was a farmer and Abel a shepherd. He wanted his Israelite readers to associate Cain, the agriculturalist, with the Egyptians, and he wanted Israel to associate themselves with Abel, the victimized shepherd.